All right, everyone. We're here. I'm joined by Mark Brennan. He's CEO of mid-tier gold producer Cerrado Gold. Mark, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mark, you put out a really exciting press release. You called it Bonanza Intercept results. So I wanted to just ask you, can you put in perspective for us, how does your latest result compare to most of the drilling that's been going on in the mining in Argentina? How does this latest result compare?
Well, indeed, this definitely was a bonanza hole. We had 12 meters of 120 grams per ton. Really nice. Basically what we're looking at is, it's not uncommon to find these bonanza grades in Argentina from time to time, and that's what we're here for. That's what we're looking for. But our average grade that we're producing right now is about 5 grams per ton. So what we see actually in the immediate area where we are is we see structures which are very similar, analogous to this, that probably about 3 or 4 other instances of similar types of indications from surface. So what this will do, this will enable us to really drive significant production. I don't know ultimately how this pit or how this area will be come into the mining context, but it'll certainly be extremely high grade, and it'll really help us with blending through the mill and give us a much longer life going through the mill. So phenomenal. Argentina, I'll just mention on the Deseado Massif, it was founded 30 years ago, so it's a very new area, but they've discovered over 30 million ounces to date. Anglo were there in the early 90s. They've mined 8 million ounces to date. Newmont are producing 350,000 ounces a year. Next door to us, Yamana, now Pan American, they're mining 250,000 ounces. So we're at the very early stages. Even though we're producing something, last year we produced 54,000 ounces. Our target is for north of 60,000 ounces this year. It's still a startup, and we still see lots of potential for this. As part of that press release, we also announced that we're going underground, that we actually applied for an underground license. And if you look at the history that Anglo have had and that Yamana had prior to Pan American, most of the real meat came from the underground. So we're very optimistic and we're very excited by the underground. But when we hit deposits like this, it's fantastic. But this is, again, you see groups like Newmont and Anglo and Yamana historically have found these types of deposits from time to time.
So you said before that in Argentina you're at more of the early end of production, you're not near the later end of production.
No, and we have a great slide in our presentation that shows how we are the new boys on the block. And basically we acquired this project in 2020. There hadn't been any exploration done since 2015. We barely started the exploration post-COVID until about a year ago. So there's a lot of room for upside, and we're now working very aggressively to drive the exploration story.
You're basically one of the fastest growing gold producers globally. You've doubled production since 2021. You're on pace to triple it again in the next 2.5 years. I'm just wondering, what do you think is the secret to success? How you've been able to just year after year kind of hit your targets?
Actually, we're hoping to triple it this year.
There you go.
So okay. Some good growth. I'll take whatever I can get these days.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, what I'm also very proud of is, you look at our presentation, we're actually the lowest cost producer on the belt, and one of the lowest cost producers in Argentina, even though we're producing a lot less than some of these other big boys at 350, 250, 200,000 ounces. And I think it's mining expertise. We have a very, very strong team. We've always been very strong technically. In actual fact, the person who's running the mine today in Argentina, our chief operating officer, is basically the same individual who helped us build Largo and the facility at Largo and operate Largo. So imperative to everything is having technical competence and a good resource.
Great. Now, part of your growth plan, I know, is to ramp up Brazil. You have an exciting project there. I want to talk a little bit about your team, because I was going through who you've assembled, and it looks like you have just a great team of Brazil experts specifically, including yourself. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about your experience in Brazil and the team's experience.
Well, the team's experience is far more credible than mine, and far more important than mine. But basically, we've been working with the same team for probably 20 years, and that team actually assembled probably 30 years ago, and they actually built the Jacobina project for Anglo. And then what happened is in the late 90s, when with Desert Sun, we acquired Jacobina, and the same team helped reconstruct, redevelop Jacobina. which we sold to Yamana for $600 million in 2006. And then that team left, and they came to us at Largo for the Maracas project. We built with the same team that initiated at Anglo. We built Maracas on time, on budget, and now that same team is no longer at Largo. They're now with us, and we're doing one more bank job. You know, it's kind of like an old boys club that are doing one last bank heist. You know,
you found that asset. You're like, it's worth it. Let's get back together.
The team love working together, right? They're very strong. And actually, what's funny is we actually have the addition of the ex Anglo Jacobina mine manager. So we have one more old boy joining the club, but we love working together. We're comfortable together. We trust each other. We think the competence of each and every one of us is very strong, and that's the most important thing, right? It's just, and so everyone has fun. It's hard work. Building a mine is never easy, but when you have people that you like working with and you trust, very important.
And experience is really a key resource, isn't it, in mining?
I mean, not many mines get built these days, right? And you know, the team that we have built, restructured, operated, you know, probably, I don't know, 50, you know, mines. So we've got a very, very strong technical competence.
That's great. Now, Mark, I just wanted to end things off to talk about the valuation a little bit. So your stock, I noticed, trades at a deep discount to, you know, early stage producers, explorers, kind of however you look at it, it's a deep discount. You've been through cycles, you've built companies, you've seen how valuations change over time. I just wanted your take on what you think operationally will close that gap, or is it a market-based catalyst?
I think there's two components. You know, the on the market side, you know, at one point with Largo, we were trading at $1.50, and then the crash in 2008 occurred, and we went to 9 cents. And then we built it up to 380, and that's kind of when I departed the scenes. But in terms of you know, I think that the macro picture is always very important. I believe that if we're not at the bottom of the cycle, we're very close to the bottom of the cycle. I don't know when it's going to turn around, but at the same point, I think that the markets are unduly oversold with no bids. So that's something which will change. It often does, and it often changes very rapidly. So we're holding our hats and hoping that that'll occur. But to your point, where we see also value coming, for example, in October, we'll complete our feasibility study in Brazil. We believe that the numbers will be extremely strong. And on that basis, I can hardly believe that we'll be in the same position today by the end of October when we publish this feasibility study, because there's just no way that we can reconcile our market valuation with the valuation of the project that we expect to achieve. On top of that, we're also in the funding process for long-term joint project funding for the project. So if you look at by the end of the first quarter, we'll have probably received our permit. We announced last night that we applied for our construction permit in Brazil.
Right.
We expect that by the end of the year. We'll have a very, very strong feasibility study. And then on top of that, we have funding where we have very strong backers of banks who want to get behind us to provide us with funding the project. We have a streaming group who want to provide us with a stream on the project. So our capital stack for the project is almost complete, which is a very important thing in this environment. Almost as important as the asset itself. It's probably one of our most important assets in itself. So I think between now and the end of the first quarter, when we start construction, I don't believe that our capital stack will require a lot of equity. And so from that perspective, very comfortable that you know, give it 6 months from now, I think it'll be inconceivable that we'll be in the same position we are today, irrespective of the fact that Argentina is ramping up the heap leach, we're ramping up a new open pit deposit. And so from that perspective, Argentina will be generating a lot of cash flow. So I think combined, I don't think the market can remain where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that the stock has already perked up lately, and you have a lot of catalysts coming over the next 6 months, so that definitely helps close gaps.
We're doing everything in our power, but we do need the help from the markets as well.
Yeah, well, operations is first and foremost what you start with and end with. Yeah. Well, Mark, it was great to talk with you. This is Mark Brennan. He's CEO of Cerrado Gold.
Scott, thank you very much.